Okay, nerds, buckle up because today we are diving headfirst into the deep space with a guest we're excited to have on the pod. He's the mind behind Fuck! Okay, I'll start it over. Fuck! I knew I was gonna do it wrong. Okay, okay.
You just did it. I'm not
I
cutting that out.
know. No, cut it out. Do not put it in there. Okay. Okay, okay, okay. I've literally had no caffeine after three either, so I don't know why I'm just hyped up. Okay. Okay, nerds, buckle up because today we are diving headfirst into deep space with a guest we're so excited to have on the pod. He's the mind behind Vitalerium, Descent into the Void, a sci-fi epic packed with political intrigue, survival stakes, and a world so immersive you'll forget you're on Earth. We're talking about morally gray characters, mysterious energy sources, and a universe that's begging for screen adaptation. Please welcome to Fiction Fanatics the brilliant, the intergalactic Nick Casbro. Yay! Whoop,
Yay.
whoop, whoop,
Happy to be
whoop.
here.
We're
Welcome,
awesome.
welcome. All
We
right.
are also excited to say you're our first ever male author on the podcast.
Hey, all right.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It is. It is a big
It
deal.
is.
I am honored.
Uh-huh.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so we like to start off when we do our interviews, for our listeners who are new to the book, what would be like your elevator pitch for your book? How would you describe it for them?
So, broad strokes, it's a far future spacefaring society. Essentially, humanity becomes multiplanetary after the discovery of a novel exotic material, which in the book they call Vitalerium, the name of the series. And Vitalarium is a very kind of mysterious element. Even when you fast forward 700 years to where the story is taking place, there's still so much that humanity doesn't know about it. For instance, its source. And these are all things that I plan to dive into deeper as the series goes along, because this is just book one of
Hmm.
seven that I have planned with my publisher right now.
Oh my God.
And
Mm.
yeah, so we're far from the end, but the foundation has been laid in book one. Um, like I said, we basically Vitalirium allows for the golden age of space exploration to initiate. We colonize new planets, we expand into the cosmos, the population booms, we go through all these societal changes, and ultimately you get dropped into the front seat of Roman Matthews in the year 2701. And Roman is kind of he's basically, they call him a freelancer, but he's basically a mercenary. He's a roughneck. He's certainly rough around the edges, a morally gray protagonist for sure. He's
Hmm.
basically doing odd jobs for local gangs when you first meet him as an adult. Um,
Mm.
and he's a lost soul. He's kind of a drunk. He's kind of the definition of, talent without discipline.
Mm.
And he's basically floating through life. Well, circumstances due to his work thrust him into a massive conspiracy that has the authoritarian government of his planet hunting him. And so he has to band together with kind of a motley crew, both in the underworld and in the public eye, just to be able to survive the ordeal. And that's just book one. And you don't just follow Roman Matthews either. It's multi-narrative. I wanted to make sure that I
Mm.
really found a way to, I guess, showcase the world that I had built to the readers. And the best way for me to do that was to follow other characters. So you follow a number of characters from all walks of life. Um, you follow a few politicians. It gives you a feel for the political turmoil that's brewing in the background between the planets. There's some much larger forces at play that begin to get uncovered throughout the book. So there is a little bit of a mystery element to it as well. Um, you follow an intergalactic pop star as she's touring from planet to planet. She kind of gets thrown into the
Mm.
mix, and she's an interesting character for sure. You follow a physicist who is actually working for the authoritarian government, and they've contracted him to build something pretty sinister, and
Mm.
you get to follow his path as well. And all of the
Mm.
storylines kind of sync up throughout the course of the book. And like I said, you get a little bit of everything with this. You get, your action and adventure
Hmm.
elements. It's a sci-fi, right? You get political intrigue.
Hmm.
You get mystery. You get a little bit of a cosmic thriller element. Um, One of the inspirations that I have for this book was I have some pretty fucked up dreams, if I'm being frank, for
Uh,
language. Um, and I wanted to find a way to put some of that into the book. And that,
mm,
created almost kind of like a little bit of a subtle horror element to it. And
mm,
yeah, this is like if you took Dune, Game of Thrones, and the
mm,
Witcher series, and you mashed them together, you would have Vitalerium.
mm.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
funny you said Dune because I was getting is it Captain Dorak? Is that how you say his name? Or sorry, General Dorak, is that how you say
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Um
Mm,
he was giving me legit like Dune vibes. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
mm,
interesting that you got like some inspiration from that too. So that's very cool. Very cool.
mm,
Yeah, he's a really interesting character because I actually based that character, not so much his demeanors and things like that, but certainly his likeness on a good friend of mine who is a stunt actor and producer.
mm,
And he's produced a couple movies lately. He's been in, just about every TV show you've seen, as well as a number of movies. And he's a gigantic human. He's like 6'3", 270, just built like a house. And I was like,
mm.
I'm thinking about basing this character on you. And he said, I give you permission to use my likeness, but when we turn this into a streaming series, you better cast me as that role. And I said, you got it. Now stay in shape.
Yeah. Fair is fair.
That's super
Yeah.
cool.
And so I've actually found that a number of characters in the book I have based on people I know and people I have met throughout my life that have kind of inspired me or um, really just kind of stuck with me. And I feel like by doing that, it really, for me, as I was writing it, I felt it was actually adding like an extra breath of life into the
Mm,
character
Mhm.
for the reader. Because I knew the person. Like
yeah.
I've been with that person. I know how they would act in this scenario or what they would do, what scenarios they would get themselves into. Um, and so, like I said, that was really important for me was making sure that the characters were people that felt real and
Hmm.
had their own unique personalities, choices, and just kind of ways they went about, they go about doing things in the series.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Speaking of on about like Roman, you kind of said like he was like morally gray. Like, why did you decide to? I know he's not like the main character, but he's one of the main characters. Why did you decide to focus on or create a morally gray character versus like the quote unquote like hero?
Well,
What?
so I will so he is the protagonist. So he
Mhm.
is, in a sense kind of the main character, even though there are multiple main characters that you end up following. Um, I felt like it was important to show not only what life under an authoritarian regime like that can do, if circumstances kind of thrust you into a hard life, because he's got, at the beginning of the book, you kind of get to see that he starts off as a regular kid. He's got decent parents. He's just kind of middle class, and out of nowhere, kind of just a cyclone hits his life, and you kind of see his spiral from there. And it ends up basically taking him down this path that turns him into the hardened mercenary that you meet, for the majority of the book.
mm,
And I decided to go morally gray because I wanted to show the effects of circumstance, but also I wanted to create a story where I had a path for his rediscovery of purpose.
mm,
Yeah.
And to do that, I mean, again, I'm trying to write, I'm trying to be real in the writing. I'm not trying to, water anything down. And I'm sure if you've dived into the book at this point, I'm sure that like it's a dark
Hmm.
story, but
Hmm.
yeah, I wanted to basically leave room for a lot of character growth, especially over the course of, you know, set the entire series arc.
Hmm.
Because you're basically watching the emergence of a future mythological hero, and not just from the perspective of, the songs that get sung,
Hmm.
after the events have happened, but as he's going through it, and all
Mm.
the hardships and all the adventures and all of the losses and all of the just the crazy things that lead to this story. Um,
Mm.
and yeah, that's why Morley Gray seemed kind of like the best route for this. I mean, there's literally a scene in the book where he's torturing someone
Hmm.
for information. He's not perfect,
Yeah, yeah.
but I think it makes for compelling reading.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I think it makes for, room for growth, which, once again, I can create more of a three-dimensional character, maybe even, we'll say four-dimensional as he continues to grow down the line and who he turns into.
Yeah,
Mm.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Mm.
Yeah.
We love a morally gray character, so
Oh,
yeah. Hmm.
We do. We
good.
do.
Always. Hmm. So it sounds like this world that you're building kind of has all this action, it has tech, it's, sci-fi, it has these deeper themes that you're weaving in to, with the character being a mercenary and like how he gets there. And so was it hard to, when you're writing all this out and knowing that it's gonna go into a larger series than just this one book, was it hard to balance all the themes? Like, did it take you a long time to do that?
Yes. Uh,
Yeah.
Short answer. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, the planning and the organization has definitely been something that I have had to work at and had to,
Hmm.
learn how to do, because I mean, I'd never written a book before. I'd never even thought I would write a book. This was something
Okay.
that just kind of happened on a whim. Um, and it just turned out that I found so much enjoyment in creating this world and the characters in it that I was like, there's something weird. I don't know if it's internal or external or whatever you want to call it, the muse, whatever, whatever. But there's like a weird burning desire to just like put this story out there.
Hmm.
And so I'm sorry, back to your question though. I'm going on a tangent here. Yeah, the planning was tough. So
Hmm.
when I first started writing the book, I was on a plane 3 to 5 days a week for my day job in medical
Hmm.
devices. And I got to a point where I basically I'd beaten Netflix. I'm downloading episodes of shows
Hmm.
I didn't want to watch. And I had had a number of ideas that, some of which were from as far back as high school years. Some of them were rooted in some current events. This is right after COVID era.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
and some of it was the dreams. I get sleep paralysis on a fairly regular basis.
Oh man.
Mm.
That's
Yikes.
always interesting, but it makes for some good content. So that's good.
Keeps
Yeah.
life
That's a
exciting.
positive way to look at it. Hmm.
I figured, you know what? Let's give it a shot. I love sci-fi. Let's see if I can write some sci-fi. And I got on a long flight from Miami to Hawaii, and I got off the plane and I was finishing up chapter 4. It just like poured out of me at that point. And so I decided, okay, well, if I'm gonna, really do this, I should probably start organizing this, see where does this
Hmm.
go? And so I started with just the themes I wanted to explore. And
Mm.
I, kind of jotted those down in an Excel document. And then I was like, well, what about the characters? Like, let's go in depth on the characters a little bit. So I started planning out the characters and writing their backstory and, kind of deciding who they are and who they were going to be and what they were going to stand for within the story. And then every question that I asked myself and answered brought up 5 more questions. And suddenly I had like this 40 tab monstrosity in Excel that just literally with reference images and just the entire world spelled out. And the entire story arc basically roughly planned. So I have copious notes on
Dang.
events, quotes, certain aspects of the science and certain aspects of how the world works, planets, like everything mapped out. And so that, luckily, in my, throughout my corporate career, I learned some good organizational skills. So that kind of carried over and really helped me as I planned this out because it's a lot of material. It's
7 books.
intimidating at times, but I just keep powering through. I really enjoyed the process. Yeah.
Can I ask you, what was your like either favorite scene, or if you can't pick that, what was like the hardest scene to write in this book?
The hardest scenes. Some of the harder scenes to write actually were the political intrigue type of scenes. Because what I did in those scenes was I basically took the plot or what I guess the elements of, some of the things that were going on in the background, and I allude to them without giving away everything to the reader, so that basically just making sure that I am giving the reader enough to say that's something I should remember without giving them the answer so that they can follow the characters and discover what's really going on throughout the book. And plus, I included a lot of different things. I mean, everything from the financial structure of the planet and the basically the galaxy, all of the colonized planets and how they interact. And I wove that into the elements of kind of those unknown things I was talking about. Um, and so those got a little complicated. I definitely had to do my research to make sure that I was, kind of constructing things accurately and giving readers enough without giving everything away. So those were definitely tough to write. Some of my favorite scenes to write. I really enjoy the action scenes. That's a lot of fun for me.
Yeah.
But I think what I enjoy the most is the meaningful dialogue between the patients, excuse me.
We get it.
Yeah, between the characters, the meaningful dialogue between them, where I get to basically reveal certain philosophical themes that I'm discussing in the book, certain elements of the world. I describe a lot of the ways that the world works through character dialogue because it feels more real than just kind of dropping you know, a textbook style description of something in the middle of a story. And that part was really fun for me. Like I really enjoy like have you guys seen any of Quentin Tarantino's movies or anything like
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
Well, like I love the dialogue that he does between the characters, and they're not short conversations either. Like they're long, but you get a feel for who that character is. Like you know exactly what they stand for, who they are, no matter how bad it is sometimes, or how noble it is at other times. But you understand that character, and it's a great outlet to basically discuss some of the larger themes that I want to talk about in the whole book.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
cool.
Yeah, now I just want to watch Kill Bill.
Oh, yeah. Um,
Django Unchained, like
that's what
one
I
of
was
the
thinking.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any of them. Sorry, go ahead, Stacey.
No, so I was just thinking, so it seems just listening to you describe it almost seems kind of overwhelming for me. Like if I'm not a writer at all. So I'm just like, I don't even know how I keep all of that straight. But so I know earlier in the interview you mentioned that you have like crazy dreams, nightmares. Is that how the original like seed was planted for this? Or
I don't know. Um,
mm,
maybe
maybe?
it's never one thing, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of a mixture of a number of different elements, but I definitely think that the dreams was a big one.
Okay.
Um, it's not just the sleep paralysis. I have some really vivid recurring dreams that
Mm,
happen too. Some of them involving space type themes, and they just kind of stick with you.
mm,
Um,
Oh.
so it's hard to shake those. It was hard for me not to put an element of that into the book.
Mhm.
Um, it felt like it had to be in there somehow.
Mhm.
Just
yeah.
because, just to make it, real from the sense of, the author as well. Like this, you put a little bit of your soul into this book that you create, this body of work that you're just putting so much time and effort into, and
Mhm.
it's
Mm,
it's nearly impossible not to put a little bit of yourself in there.
Yeah.
That's I
yeah.
mean, everyone says write what you know, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
I felt like I definitely in that regard that's certainly relevant.
Mhm.
Mm,
So you said you were kind of inspired by Dune as well as like Game of Thrones, Witcher, obviously all amazing books. Um, what books are you like currently reading, or
mhm.
do you have like on your current like to be read list?
I have an insurmountable number of books on my to read list.
Yeah, yeah, we know. Same here.
Yeah.
And the problem is right now I have almost no time to put towards them, which is a shame. I actually kind of miss reading a little
Mhm.
bit, but I've been spending so much time on building this series that that has eaten up basically all my free time because
Yeah, yeah.
I also have my day job in medical devices, and then my wife is a surgeon, and helping her build her practice out. And we have a 2-year-old daughter. And so that's a handful.
A lot.
Busy, busy. Yes.
Um, and so we're moving. So that's fun.
No big deal.
So free time to read new stuff is not really an option right now, which
Mhm.
is
Yeah.
unfortunate. At some point, things will settle down, and I will definitely get back to that
Back to your books.
red
Yeah.
list. But
Yeah.
I mean, I also I also didn't want to bias the writing of this book by, relating too closely to anything else that's currently out there.
Hmm.
Not, I,
Hmm.
I, I kind of, my inspirations are rooted in the sci-fi classics, like your Dunes, like your Orwells, your Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, and he had some really interesting stuff about psychedelics too. Those were interesting reads. Um, your William Gibson with Neuromancer and the other books in the series. Yeah, that's where I really enjoyed those. Isaac Asimov is another one. His short stories, I think, are unparalleled. Um, I feel like he could pack more power into 10 to 15 pages than anyone else in the sci-fi realm. Um, he had a serious talent, and those types of stories are where I wanted to kind of draw my inspiration from. And
Mm,
basically take my spin on what a future society might be like and
mm,
instill that into the work. So because that's really where my love of sci-fi kind of came from.
Mm.
And so that's what I guess I was hoping to embody in some sense.
Hmm.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Like you said,
Yeah.
if you're like reading hot sci-fi books that are coming out right now, like you said, it could
Like
seem too
influence.
familiar if you start
Hmm.
putting some of those imagery into your own books and
right, right. And
make
that's
it.
what is it? Stephen King wrote a book called On Writing, which was like his memoir and also his um, kind of love note to just writing in general. And he was basically like, early on in my career, I would read something from this author, and for a while I wrote like that author, and then I would
Mhm.
read something from that author, and for a while I
Mm.
wrote like him, and then, you know, he really found his voice, I guess, after doing it for a while.
Hmm.
And what was weird in this, at least in this book for me, I felt like I had such a clear vision for what I wanted this to be that I wanted
Hmm.
to take it directly from my voice
Mhm.
and just get it out there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how yeah, that's kind of how it went down.
Hmm. So, speaking of getting it out there, how was your journey to get it published? Can you talk to us a little bit about that? Because we know every author has kind of a different story take about how they got there.
Yeah, so I mean it's a little bit of an abridged story,
Hmm.
or I guess it's really just a short story. Uh, I had my wife's cousin knew someone at this boutique publisher. And
Mm.
she said, she had read probably a couple chapters in the book, and she was like, "This is kind of good. Like, you've never written anything before?" And I was like, "No, I
Hmm.
haven't written anything other than a professional email in a decade."
Hmm. Yeah.
And she was like, "It's a little rough, but it needs to be edited.
Hmm.
But like, I'll put you in touch with my friend, and if she likes it, then great. And if she doesn't like it, well, then you got more work to do." And I was like, "All right, cool." So I met with her, and I just talked for like 30 minutes straight. I almost wish I had the video recorded so I could see it just exploding like that. And um, I ended up kind of diving deep into what my vision was for the entire series. And
Hmm.
he was like, I think I think we can work with it. So I was like, okay, cool. So we just started from there. So that was lucky. And like I said, they were very good about teaching me all the things I didn't know, because I basically took a
Mm.
180-degree turn
Hmm.
from my normal day-to-day life, my career.
Yeah.
And every turn was just another brand new thing I had to learn. So I was basically I just committed to kind of diving in head first and
Mm.
figuring it out, because I just felt so compelled to get this thing out there. And it became fun. I kind of enjoyed the adventure, so to speak, of jumping into something I have no idea about and just saying, well, I'm going to figure it out. And, slowly but surely along the way over these past, oh my God, 3.5 years, give or take,
Mm.
um, I've learned a ton, and
Yeah.
I'm doing
Very
it.
cool.
That's
Would
so cool.
you like to make being an author like your full-time job career? Like if you were to
Yeah.
just like quit your day job tomorrow, would that be like your
Oh, hell yeah.
ultimate goal? Yeah. Yeah.
Hell
Yeah.
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 Yeah, absolutely. I'm still trying to write my way out of my day job.
Yeah.
Um,
You're
I,
you're done with traveling whatever,
Yeah, well, I'm not
5 days a
done with
week.
traveling yet, but yeah. But no, it's you know, this I see as like my long my long game, right?
Mhm.
So I enjoy it so much that there's no stress really that comes to me from this aspect. of my life, the writing portion and even just the marketing portion of it. Um, I I would love to, see this through because I don't plan to just stay in books and comics either. I mentioned before that, what one of my friends is he's a stunt actor producer. Like
Hmm.
we he actually just came to we were at Boston Fan Expo recently. We had a booth there. I've been doing Comic Cons, uh,
Oh, cool.
Hmm.
doing about
Yeah.
20 of them this year. And it's a great place to get the word out because
Hmm.
a lot of sci-fi crossover,
Mhm.
people like sci-fi. So the book has done really well there. I've met a lot of awesome people along the
Hmm.
way, with a lot of interesting people for sure.
Yeah.
Uh, we've just been having a blast, and I actually had my friend, his name's Levon Panic, and he joined me, and I had a movie quality costume of his character made, and he was donning this gigantic suit of space armor, basically, and just getting to see, people interact with
Hmm.
him. And this is actually the second time I've done that because I had one of the female characters created first. And
So cool.
it's so much fun. And now that I've been doing it for almost a year, I'm starting to see some of the same faces at some of these conventions I'm going to.
Hmm.
And when someone runs up to you and they're like, dude, where's book two? Like,
Mhm.
Hmm.
come on, get it out. And I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, okay. Like to see that like someone enjoyed my work firsthand, like that, there's no better feeling in the world.
Yeah,
I
that's
said,
cool.
there's like a little piece of my soul in this
Yeah.
project. And
That's
Yeah.
to be able
amazing.
to, yeah, to be able to connect with someone on that, it's very, very gratifying.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Yeah.
That's really
Versus
cool that you're
over
going
like
to,
social media,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think that we've talked about it before too, going to cons and stuff. I think it'd be so cool. We've
Hmm.
just done like the local one here in Indianapolis and it was fun, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
Getting out and traveling, like you said, just meeting other
Yeah.
people and connecting and bonding. Yeah, is amazing. So yeah,
And
that's so
that's what
fun.
it's all about. It's just,
Yeah.
you
Hmm.
get to meet people and my goal is to, find the folks who want to be the super fans, the folks who really, really love sci-fi, space opera, adventure type things,
Hmm.
give them some content that they can really sink their teeth into.
Hmm.
And just hope that they come back, at the next convention or the next year and, have them say, hey, I enjoyed your book. Like that's kind of what it's all about right now is
Yeah.
we're just building this from the ground up. So we're still at the foundational level, but
Yeah.
um, I want to basically bring the story into all outlets of media possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The books are the best way for me to flesh out my ideas long form. But now, I mean, we've already started the comic book series. So that's been a fun process. I've got a really talented illustrator named Francisco Nilo and
Ooh.
a very talented colorist named Chandran Panusamy, and they've been a dream to work with. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, it's like I said, I'm going along the journey, and next thing will probably be to get a short animated film made,
Oh
and
wow.
Very cool.
yeah, and just keep building this.
Yeah.
So cool. Okay, so you've obviously talked about the comic books. What next like event are you doing since you're talking about going to
Hmm.
different cons?
I'm doing Ancient City Con, which is in St. Augustine, Florida.
Mm.
Now, I'm based in Florida, so a lot of them I'm doing are in Florida.
Okay.
And then the one after that I'm doing is a pretty big one. It's called UltraCon, and that's in West
Yeah.
Palm, Florida.
Cool. Very cool. Very cool.
And next year I'll be at MegaCon, which is one of the biggest three in the country.
Hmm.
Mm.
They're in Orlando, Florida, and they get like 150,000
Yeah.
attendees
Yeah.
It's
every year.
crazy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's unreal. If you ever get a chance to go,
I want to. Yeah.
it's crazy. The place is gigantic. There are so many people there. There are so many celebrities there. There's
Hmm.
so much good art there and new up and coming stuff. And you get to kind of get a taste of everything. And it's a lot of fun. The people are great, and I can't wait to do it this year.
Very cool. Yeah.
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 Very cool. Okay. Last thing is book 2. What's
Yeah.
book 2?
When's it coming?
When's it coming? Yeah.
So book 2 comes out probably early next year is what I'm shooting for. I'm about 3/4 of the way done with it right now. And so, at tack on the publishing process, it's going to be a little while, but early next year is a reasonable time frame.
Cool. All right. That's what you're
Exciting.
telling everyone at all the cons. You're like, give it a buffer.
I actually just finished another chapter last night, so
Dang, okay. Cool,
Yeah.
cool. Cranking them out. Awesome.
just I had to jump out of the shower because I figured out how to fix a huge plot hole. I had to run up to write it down in my phone before I forgot about it. That's always a good feeling too when you figure out how to do something that you just didn't see before, and you're like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. Like I can't tell you how many times it's happened to me.
Yeah. Inspo anywhere.
Yeah.
Best thoughts come in the shower.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Awesome. Well, do you want to wrap this up? We could do some kudos and go around.
Yeah. So at the end of our podcast, so when we started this forever ago, it was basically from like fan fiction. I don't know if you're familiar with that. And so you could leave kudos at the end of these books you read online. So we like to at the end just wrap up by giving like kudos to people. And so we'll do it, and you're more than welcome to jump in, but like no pressure if you want to do
whatever you're
a kudos
thankful
to.
for, people
Yeah.
or things from the week. You can just give a kudos, a shout out.
Mhm.
So yes. Go ahead,
You want me
Stacey.
so my kudos obviously for you, Nick, for coming on the show. We were super excited to have you. And we hope everyone checks out your book. It's, incredible. So we want to make sure everyone reads it. And I also want to just kudos my husband, because he has the kids today. It's so quiet. When we have an interview, I try to like make sure because they always want to come in, and he took them to his parents to play. So it's so silent in my house right now, and I'm so thankful.
He gets a kudos.
He gets a kudos this week. Yeah.
Yes. Also, thank you, Nick. Kudos. Thank you for coming on. It is very late at night, so we appreciate on Friday night. So you could be doing other things. We appreciate it. Again, thank you. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, mine's the same, Nick. I've been looking forward to this because I've been the one that's been emailing back and forth with you. So we've just really been looking forward to this interview for a while. And thank you so much for making time when you're so busy. So we really appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Yes, man, it's very kind of you. Yeah, no, hey, kudos to you guys for having me on. I appreciate it. I'm gonna give kudos to my wife because she's working her tail off right now. She's building a new practice as a surgeon, and that is not an easy thing to do. She's toughed it out for probably, oh my God, like 9 years. This is 8 years in between residency and her fellowships to specialize, and she's finally done. She's out there ready.
Oh, nice.
I couldn't be more proud of her. She's also my toughest beta reader.
We love to hear it. Yeah. Yeah, we do.
Biggest critic.
Keeping you on your toes.
Yeah.
But I can count on her for good feedback. So
yeah, nice. That's awesome.
That's unique.
Awesome. Kudos to her.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you again for coming on. Thank you everyone for listening. Have a good night.
Have a good week, everyone. Make sure you read what you like.
Nice to meet you guys. Thanks for having me on.